I've been talking about this for almost 2 years, and I've been asking myself and I've been asking colleagues and friends, as much as you viewers, what are the measures that the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinians in general could adopt in order to face the challenges of a right-wing annexationist Israeli government? So welcome to Intuitive Reactions number 2, which comes at the heels of the first one I recorded and published a few days ago on the issue of annexation. This has been an ongoing story. What will the Palestinian Authority do? What will the PA President eventually do in relation to all the measures that were being adopted by Israel with total support from the US administration, the current one at least? And how are the Palestinians going to move, if you wish, the narrative from what had become a question of Israel managing an occupation to one of Israel having to deal with the occupation? And in fact, yesterday, Mahmoud Abbas did make a few statements. He basically said that he is putting to an end all coordination between the Palestinian Authority and Israel, and that includes also security arrangements. And he also said that as a consequence, he's throwing back the responsibility of governing those areas A and B, where the Palestinians had some say, back to the occupying power, to Israel, according to the Geneva IV conventions. Now, this opened up a whole host of questions. What does this mean? Does this mean that we have officially rung the death knell of the Oslo era? An agreement that has been much maligned by a lot of people over the years, but one which had promised to produce a Palestine in 5 years' time, and 27 years later has not yet delivered the goods. What does it mean in terms of the coordination, the practical coordination between an occupier and an occupied people after all those long years of having this osmosis, inevitable osmosis between the two peoples? These are questions that do not yet have answers because the statement was somewhat expected, but not entirely so. And the question now is, would the Palestinian Authority, would the Palestinian leadership stick to its guns, metaphorically speaking, and renounce those agreements, those coordination agreements, those security arrangements, or will they dither, and will they be a lot of pressure, not necessarily only by Israel or the United States, but also by the European Union? After all, as I mentioned in number 1 a few days ago, 11 ambassadors had written about their opposition to the annexation plans of the Netanyahu stroke Gantz government, but others have come out as well. Other EU countries like Estonia and others who have said, no, this would be inimical with our understanding of a two-state solution if such a solution is still within the realm of the possible, and I would put a big question mark on that. And besides, it also begs the question, if Mahmoud Abbas's statements were to be true and effective, and the Palestinians were to stick by their word, what does this mean in reality? what are the consequences of this statement? What does it mean in terms of a solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Or have we actually changed the narrative? Or, as some people have said, have we changed the paradigm from one of a neat solution, something what the Oslo, for instance, had predicated, to one where we are now talking about rights. So it becomes a rights-based discourse rather than one on international diplomatic and political solutions. The jury is still very much out on this for a whole variety of reasons. This is very fresh news, and what I'm doing basically is sharing with you off-the-cuff thoughts, just some blue sky thinking about what might or what might not. I might have to change my narrative as the days and weeks ahead prove me right or wrong, but this is my initial reaction as somebody who has spoken time and again about what are the measures that the Palestinians can take in order to push the process forward one way or another. At the end of the day, I hope that the answer would be an ironic one, a peace-driven one, one that is also clearly based on legitimacy and justice. But let us wait and see what will be the repercussions and how strong will they be with the Israeli government, which has just been sworn in, with Netanyahu and his ambassador in the United States on the one hand, and with Benny Gantz and Gabi Ashkenazi, his foreign minister, on the other. How would they react? But how would also the EU, as I said, react? And equally importantly, how would the Arab states react? How would Jordan react? Principally, for me, is a big question mark. How would Egypt react? And how would the other Arab countries and the Arab League react to this act of desperation, almost, call it defiance if you don't want to call it desperation, by the Palestinian leadership? And how would it sit with the people in Gaza who do not necessarily sing from the same hymn sheet as those in Ramallah? I leave those thoughts with you, and I acknowledge that there are question marks rather than answers or exclamations even. And I'm sure I'll be back to share some of my thoughts with you soon again.